Good day, sir. Our topic will be building system in large commercial building. This will be our content. So as an introduction, the primary purpose of building is to provide their inhabited with shelter. But in our modern world, all buildings should be built to provide an atmosphere where people can feel secure, work, live, succeed in our modern world.
So I'll be talking about air conditioning system. Next. What is an air conditioning system? The air conditioning system is a system used to cool down space by extracting heat from a space and transferring it to some outside location. Next. Refrigeration cycle. The air conditioner operates using a thermodynamic cycle called the refrigeration cycle. Next. How does refrigeration cycle works? As the refrigeration cycle absorbs heat from the indoor air, it changes from low pressure gas to high pressure liquid. Next. So there are two types of refrigeration: vapor compression refrigeration. The vapor compression refrigeration cycle consists of four main components: the evaporator, the condenser, the compressor, and the expansion valve. Next is the vapor absorption cycle. The major difference between vapor compression and vapor absorption cycles would be to replace the compressor of the vapor compression cycle with an absorber. The absorber is placed between the vapor generator and the evaporator. Water as an absorbent and ammonia as a refrigerant are the most commonly used fluids in the absorption system. Next. There are three types of air conditioning system. The first one is unitary system. Unitary air conditioning system delivers efficient cooling to small buildings like house, apartments, studios, etc. There are two types of unitary air conditioning system, the window and the split unit. Next. The second is package system. Window and split air conditioners are usually used for small air conditioning capacity up to 5 tons. Central air conditioning systems are used when cooling loads reach 20 tons. Package system is divided into three types: self-contained, air-cooled, and water-cooled. Lastly is centralized system. Centralized air conditioning system is the largest type of conventional air conditioning system. Next. Air handling unit. The air handling unit, also referred to as the air handler unit, is a piece of equipment used to condition and circulate air as part of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. Next is ducting. Ducts are pipes or passages used in ventilation and air conditioning to deliver and extract air. Next. Their perforated ceilings and diffusers are thanks to its perforated design condition, air can be discharged through the small holes and grills and enter the room through its perforated design. Next. Zoning. Traditional HVAC systems have one thermostat that controls the temperature of the entire building. The zone device consists of several thermostats located in different parts of the building. Dampers inserted in or near the air vents control and direct air to the different zones. There are four types of zoning: single zone constant volume, multi-zone constant volume, single zone variable air volume, and multi-zone variable air volume.
For the fire protection system, they can separate into passive method and active method. There are four types of passive method. The first one will be structural fire protection. It's protect vital structural elements such as structure, steel, and joint system. For example, construction, the building structure covered with concrete product and protect with the joining with proofing material. The second one will be compartmentation. Fire barrier include fire-rated floor are used to restrict the spread of fire in building. Opening protection is to ensure fire resistant. Fire door and window are mounted at the opening of fire barrier. Fire stopping material is one of the main concerns which are used to restrict the spread of fire by breaching of fire barrier. For the active method, there are 8 main types of method. The first one will be detection. It's a sensor that sense fire, smoke, flame, and sends signal alarm in building are mostly used. Fire suppression system are used to extinguish or prevent spread of fire in building. Combination of dry chemical or agent wet wet agent to suppress equipment fire. For a wet riser, it's a supply system intended to distribute water to multi-level as a component of firefighting system. For taller and larger building in Malaysia, wet riser device is being built for 50 to 60 meter high building. As a ventilation system can separate into three main types. The main purpose of these three ventilation is to draw out smoke and allow clean, fresh air from outside, allowing people to escape safely from the building. For fire sprinkler, is a system of active fire protection method. Consists of water supply, providing adequate pressure and water distribute piping system. For fire evacuation road is an exit road. Each exit must lead directly outside and be large enough to accommodate the building occupants. Fire alarm has a number of devices working together to detect and warn people through visual and audience appliance when smoke. For the last one, fire extinguisher is an active fire protection device used to extinguish control small fire, often used in emergency situation.
I'll be discussing about a vertical transportation system. What is vertical transportation system? Vertical transportation system include transport media such as lifts, escalators, hydraulic hose, and conveyors for passengers and refer to the service component within a building which enable us to travel vertically between floors much quicker and effortlessly. Next. There are two forms of mechanical transportation system. The first one will be escalator. An escalator is a conveyor that moves people between floors of a building easily and efficiently. It needs no waiting time, and at peak hours, the escalator is reversible to accommodate the main traffic flow. Next. There are three different types of stage with users that can either have size limit. Only one side by side, two travelers side by side with each other. Next. So components of the escalator: truss. The framework bridges the lower and upper landings carrying the straight parts of the track. The function of motor is escalator are powered within the truss by motor and chain mechanism. The handrail moves courtesy of a chain connected to the main drive gear by a series of pulleys. Tracks. When they pass from under the complete, the step wheel track for the front wheels of the step and the trailer wheel track for the back wheels of the steps allow the steps to form a staircase. The side of an escalator extending above the steps, which includes skirt guides, interior panel, backboard, and moving handrails. Next. The second form of transportation system, an elevator is a transportation system used between floors of a building, vessel, and other structure to transfer products and individuals vertically. There are two major types of elevators: traction elevators and hydraulic elevators. Next. Traction elevators are lifted by ropes which pass above the elevator shaft over a wheel attached to an electric motor. By offsetting the weight of the car and passengers, a counterweight makes the elevator more powerful. Next. Hydraulic elevators are used for 2 to 8-story low-rise application and fly at a maximum velocity of 200 feet per minute. They have a low initial cost and their ongoing maintenance costs are lower. Next. Conventional hydraulic elevators have a sheath that extends below the floor of the elevator pit, which accepts the retracting piston elevator descends. Some configurations have a telescopic piston that collapses and requires a shallower hole below the pit. Next. A combination of rope and a piston used by rope hydraulic elevators to raise the elevator. The overall travel distance is approximately 60 feet. Holeless hydraulic elevators have a piston on the other side of the cab. Telescopic pistons are mounted at the base of the pit and do not need to shift or hold below the pit. Traction elevators use a counterweight to balance the weight of the cabin and the passengers. With this design, the engine does not have to transfer as much weight, making it more energy efficient. The cab is lifted and lowered by traction steel ropes or belts on a pulley system. Next.
Next, I'm going to talk about the electrical system. Next. So basically, the electric system can be divided into three parts: generation, transmission, and distribution. Next. So first is generation. Generation is the electric generation is a kind of process that generating electric power from the source of primary energy. So it's like generating electricity in the factory. Next is transmission. So when the energy is being produced, then the energy will be transferred by using transmission line. And there will be a substation to convert and transform and also control the electric powers. Next. And the last one is distribution. Distribution is the final step of the electric power system. At this stage, the electric power will be distributed to all the buildings depend on their voltage needed. Next. So there are some consideration on electrical installation during the construction process. Next. So there are 5 of the consideration. First is the sufficient capacity for purpose. And the second one is minimum wastage of the current in the cables. This is to prevent the wastage because the longer the cable is used, the more wastage of the electric current has. Next. The third one is the protection of people from electrical shock. So basically, people use the protection system is fuse and miniature circuit breaker. And the fourth one is prevention of fire and means of isolation. Next. And the final one for the consideration is compliances with regulations. So every electrical equipment in Malaysia have to be checked by the government, and after check, the things will be distributed to people. So the next I'm going to talk about the conductor and insulator. Conductor is any material that allow electrical current to pass through it. And the insulator is the things that any material that does not allow electrical current to pass through. Next. So there are 2 types of currents, alternating current and direct current. So these are the compare charts of the alternating current and direct current. Next. Distribution of current. There are two kind of distribution of current: ring distribution and radial distribution. So ring distribution is supply several buildings around the perimeter of the site. A ring circuit will be taken around the site with supply taken in each building. And the radial distribution is due to the underground electrical cables where each building is supplied with electrical on individual cables from the substation. Next.
And now I'm going to talk about is the space of all for all system. The main purpose of these spaces are to make sure every building are safe and comfortable to let people live inside. And now let's look into it next. The first one is the mechanical and air conditioning system. Mechanical and air conditioning system are mainly related to air regulation and temperature of a building. Next. So basically, a normal building will install a fan to keep the space have good air regulation. Next. There are 3 types of aircon system which they are installed in different place, location, spaces due to their different function. And first one for the unitary system, usually it installed in small space, especially a room. And the second one is the package system, usually installed in place like home and office, which have multiple rooms need to be cooled down. And the last one is a centralized system, are usually installed in plant room, which a space need big air cooling machine. Next. Perforated ceiling usually used in department store, and confined space. Diffusers are usually installed in closed area that has less contact with air outside, such as office space or hall. And next. The next one is the fire protection system, which should be available in every building and spaces to make sure that they have fire protection equipment to put out the fire when there's an emergency. And the first one is the fire extinguisher, and usually they will place in between 20 meter to the potential fire hazard. Next. Besides that, every building is said to serve by at least one fire hydrant, which it must be located in between 91.5 meter to the point of fire brigade access. Different color of the fire hydrant also placed in different place, which yellow are in public and red are in private. Next. Hose reels is set to place within 30-meter hose coverage from each hose, that each hose reel should have coverage of 800 meter cube of floor space. And a dry riser is also needed to be located near to the fire appliance access route, which is not more than 30 meter, and also need to be near to the fire hydrant within 30 meter. Next. For the sprinkler system, all usually will install all around the building, which are on the ceiling. And the fire alarm system are set to be installed at a height of 1.2 above the floor, which makes sure no one will access it. Next. Next. For travel system, for travel distance, if the building have more escape route, the travel distance can be more far. And for the escape staircase, usually they will set to be both end of the corridor on each floor. Some of them are set outside of the building. Next. The third one is the vertical transportation system, which is mean that the transportation medium within a building. And the first one is the escalator that can be put in everywhere in the building by following the design of the building, which is suitable for people to use. Next. Lifts are usually located at one or both sides of the place, and which, if the more floor of the building, they must have more lift to be installed. They will have motor room above the lift shaft too, to reduce the length of the routes and increase the efficiency. And they also will have the controller or control panel that set against the wall. Next. 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 The last one is the electrical system. Electrical system is what we cannot lack nowadays, because almost everything in our surrounding is related to the electric, as we have stepped into the high technology generation. And most electrical services are placed in the underground supply, which most of the system of wire will be installed in underground. So electric supplies also mostly come in underground ducts. Next. For the last one, the distribution panel, each unit should have one, and it will be mounted on the wall. Sometimes that will be installed in the large metal blocks. Next.
I'm doing the part of installation, operation, and maintenance costs on all the system. In this presentation, I will introduce the cost of fire protection system. Fire protection systems are divided into active and passive fire protection. I will gonna talk about the price of structural fire protection in passive fire protection. Next. This is price, the previous one. This is a price table of spray, intimation coating, and fireboarding. FR means fire resistant time. 30, 60, 90, 112 minutes or more. This is next. This is the cost of glass. This price including the labor cost. The price of the different type of internal glassing of partitioning is as follow. This first one price refer to the glass that can use inside of the building. The below one is external glass price. Next is the price of active fire protection. And this is the cost of water automatic sprinkler system. Next. This is a table of shell and corn cost of installing automatic sprinkler system, including the water supply for office with GR between 3,000 and 15,000 meters square, and the hotel is 2 to 5 stars. Next. Next. This is a price table of fire extinguisher. Refilling a fire extinguisher can done by local fire station. Replenish a fire extinguisher is usually $15 and to $20. Next. Then I was going to talk about the dry riser operation. The dry riser hose is usually empty and it's filled with water only after the firefighter arrives. The firefighter will connect the pump to the inlet of the dry riser through 2 hoses. The dry riser will be filled with water by the fire trunk. Connect the firefighting hose to the landing valve. A firefighting branch connect to another end of the hose. Open the landing valve. The water in the dry riser will charge the fire hose and put out the fire. Next. This is the cost of dry riser. Next. Dry riser maintenance is annual wet test and 6 months visual inspection. The annual wet test is a 15-minute inspection and pressure test. The dry riser at a pressure rating of 100 pounds per square inches or 10 bar, as well as inspection or inlet or outlet for leaks and whether valves and parts need to replace. The 6 months visual inspection is about visual inspection and the dry riser function operation tests. Any missing or damaged parts are replaced and the system is lubricated if necessary. Next. This picture is the annual wet test. I will pass to Boyan next.
Hello, this part is about the regulation for all systems. So the regulation, it means the code. This is the code of the conduct certain things, and the next one is the law. So I found 2 laws. The first one is UBBL, and another one is the Uniform Building Bylaw. Next, the detector and the emergency sign. The rule is that all elevators must be equipped with the most smoke detectors, and the elevator is not open to enter the smoke hole. And the floor exits and passage leading to such exits should be marked with the visible sign and cannot be covered. There is no link of the color logo. The exit sign on the all floor should not be less than 150 millimeters. The width should not be less than 18 millimeters. Next. This part is about the fire door and firewall. The law pointed out that the suitable glass fiber reinforced plastic will be used as the fire doors. Simultaneously, the fire door will protect the opening of the bulkhead and the partition wall. Finally, the beginning of the protective structure will be protected by a fire door. Next. This part is about the conditioning system. If permanent air conditioning is used, natural ventilation may not necessarily be used simultaneously, and the local government can control this right. A permanent air conditioning system provides an alternative and approved ventilation method to ventilate the air conditioning cabins. Next. And this part is about the vertical transportation system. There are 4 points in vertical transportation. The most specific requirement for elevator is that in all non-residential buildings, at least one elevator must install it if it is 4 floors higher or lower than the center passage. Next. Last one is about the electricity system. It is possible to control electricity at a safe voltage, and the rated voltage of each country is different. Regarding to discharge rate, it is stated that each floor driving rate on each floor through the door or along the horizontal plan is 60 people per minute, and 45 people go down the stairs per minute on the passing. Okay, our presentation is finished. Thanks for attention.